Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Rick Grimes, who's going to be coming to the game as an ultra token wheel character. Now we have had like a fast Rick Grimes in the past as a leader, and this is going to be pretty much the same deal, and we have had these kind of visuals, the kind of era, you know, the one-handed Rick Grimes. I think a lot of fans of the OG Guardian Shield Rick Grimes, if I remember correctly, I think he was a pretty pretty favoured character. On the right hand side you can see the visuals are reasonably similar. I think he's got a leg issue, like he's got a brace on and everything, but yeah, looks kind of cool. He attacks with the left hand, not the right hand unfortunately. It would be cool to attack with the actual, you know, stabbing thing on the end of the arm. I think one of his older characters did that, but it is what it is. On the left hand side we can see some art in a bit more detail. He's taking down some walkers, but it's worth noting he has got an axe in his hand, which is not attached to this character, so there potentially could be like a Rick Grimes axe to come. I know like some people are kind of always interested in that sort of stuff. If we look at the stats at level 1440, limit break 3, he has got 37,040 attack, 26,457 defense, and 24,693 HP. He is a fast character, of course. He's going to be of the support role, Gold Mythic, and he's going to be joining the Alexandria Allegiance. Now, taking a look at the Adrenaline Rush, it's called Hatchet Job. It's a 66 AP cost rush. Deal 400% damage to a line of enemies, plus 300% damage if the target has 50% or more HP. If the target has less than 50% HP, two other teammates get 100% attack for one turn. This is kind of interesting. He's a support character, but he has the potential to do damage in the right circumstances. The first half, if they are at 50% or more HP, basically if you're attacking someone who's, generally speaking, full HP, he's going to be doing almost like 700% deal damage, which is quite nice. But the other one, if they're low HP, and let's say he just finishes someone off, two of your other teammates will get 100% attack for one turn. So you do rush with Rick Grimes first, take out someone low HP, your teammates will get a buff, and then potentially obviously do much more damage because of that. You could even command rush this guy off of turn 1 if you wanted, and you know, do significant damage to somebody after they're lower than 50% HP to buff two other characters to do like high damage signature moves. It is RNG, it doesn't go to particular roles. So there is a little bit of RNG there. It's probably not worth doing the command rush, but yeah, that's something to note. Okay, so we have got Rick's Adrenaline Rush up, and we can obviously target somebody. Everybody's at high HP, so we're not going to be able to get the boost when it comes to buffing my teammates. But the way it works, because it's a line attack, it's based on who you select, like who you click, not who you take down. So for instance, if one of these characters had low HP, and the other one is full HP, I could choose which one I want to select when doing the rush to determine what's going to happen. The high HP character would make it so that it would be 400% damage plus 300%. The low HP character would make it so that if, you know, well, after doing the rush, two of my teammates would get 100% attack. There's obviously downsides. I won't do as much damage if I select the one with lower HP, but my teammates potentially could. In this case, it's always going to be 400% plus 300%, so I'll do it to the line of enemies. It's also going to be trait damage in this case. Now, it is deal damage. This rush cannot crit. Just something to note, can't proc weapons. It's pretty good for some people because of that. Now, looking at the upgrades on the Adrenaline Rush, you can see at grade 3, it gets a straight up upgrade where it gets plus 300% damage if the target has 50% or more HP. At grade 5, it gets an upgrade where if the target has less than 50% HP, two other teammates get 50% attack for one turn. And then at limit break 2, the attack bonus from that upgrade at grade 5 goes from 50% up to 100%. So it's going to be a 400% damage hit initially, and then you're just going to be tacking things on as you upgrade this character. It's not going to require too many upgrades, two characters to get the Adrenaline Rush, you know, working as good as it can in terms of like the upgrades, but the actual pure power in terms of the buff, it will be required for limit break 2. So that's just something to note. If you want to see him more as a support character, he does need to be higher tier. But if you want to just utilize how it works and damage, lower tier is okay, but he will miss out on some stats because obviously his level is going to be lower. So that's just, again, worth noting. He is a leader. He'll be surrounded by 1535, so his attack should be boosted a little bit. This Adrenaline Rush is quite nice. I like the dynamic here when it comes to like working one of two ways. It's always going to do damage to a line of enemies. It's just whether you want it to, you know, do extra damage or give buffs. Obviously, you don't necessarily determine this always. You might not have characters that are over 50% HP to actually determine that this is going to be the way it happens. That can be seen as a negative maybe in certain circumstances, but generally speaking, you should just rush with Rick first, just so that you do give the buffs out afterwards. The rush is pretty nice. It will do reasonable damage. His base stats are okay. It can't crit. This is the only thing, but because like he's a leader, like I said, he should have pretty decent attack stat. Now, before Rick does the Adrenaline Rush, he will generally be doing his signature move, and it is called Exposing Lunge. It is an initial cooldown turn 1, cooldown 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. Remove camouflage from an enemy. If that enemy is a trait other than strong trait, a damage roll teammate gets plus 100% attack for 2 turns. Deal 500% damage to a single enemy, but plus 500% damage to strong trait enemies. This again is a little interesting. If the target isn't strong, he's going to buff specifically an attack roll character. That's quite important. You can dictate this by only having one attack roll character in the team. Rick himself is a support role, so he'll never get this himself. If you only have one attack roll, he'll always go to them. And you could have it on like Raven or something like that, and it'll be immense. The second half, obviously, if they are strong, he's going to nuke them. It'll be like 1000% hit, massive amounts of damage there. The removing camouflage is just to work against teams that are like with Hina, and I think maybe there is some, you know, old 2K teams that have camouflage, but they're not as much of an issue. But I think it's mainly going to be the Hina defense teams with that camouflage removal initially. Okay, so we're going to be attacking again, and I'm going to be using Rick Grimes' signature move. Now, there are no strong characters on this team, so it's always going to give an attack buff to a damage roll character. And guess what? I've only got one damage roll character. I'm going to do the signature move. It's going to do a bit of damage. It's not going to be too crazy. Again, it can't crit, so it's going to be solid amounts of damage. Now we have Tyrese off of turn 1 with a 100% attack buff. And you know what Tyrese is like. You know what most damage roll characters are like. There are quite a few out there that have pretty heavy hitting signature moves now, and you'll be able to just do their sig and do, obviously, generally, a lot more damage because of it. Now, if we look at the upgrades on the signature move, at grade 2, it gets a straight up upgrade where it does 500% damage to strong trait enemies. At grade 4, it does an upgrade where if that enemy is a trait other than strong, a damage roll teammate gets 50% attack for 2 turns. And at Limit Break 1, that attack gets boosted up by 50% attack, and it'll be 100% attack for 2 turns. Those first 3 buffs are exactly the same pretty much as the Adrenaline Rush, and by no surprise, at Limit Break 3, it'll get -1 to starting cooldown, where it'll go from a turn 2 starting cooldown down to a turn 1 starting cooldown. This is quite common. This one's quite common. If you want to get signature moves off of turn 1 on attack or defense, a lot of the time, you will need the character to be Limit Break 3. And I think the signature move is nice. Again, like I say, he can't proc weapons. There aren't too many weapons that will work in his hands because of this as well, unfortunately. The deal damage weapon situation is a bit of a problem and maybe a subject for a different day, but I think the signature move is nice. Again, it's utilizing some different mechanics. We aren't seeing too many repeats of these mechanics, and I do know that some of these are like favored by people in the community where it comes out and they like it. So generally speaking, they should see this stuff again. You know, should see this stuff again. We'll see what they decide to do. We are getting a little bit of the if the character is strong, do extra stuff. If the character's alert, that sort of thing. So maybe you can kind of see it as the second half is doing that. But if the character isn't strong, now Rick is doing extras on top. And 100% attack boost guaranteed to a damage roll character is very, very powerful indeed. Especially as, like I said before, you can dictate where that lands. If you only have one damage roll character, they will always get it. So yeah, as a support character, this signature move is amazing. It's up to you what you attack. If you're attacking a full strong team, you will never have the first half proc. That's obvious, but just worth mentioning again. Now, Rick is going to be an Ultra Token Wheel character, so that means we're going to be doing an Ultra Token giveaway. If you want your chance to win 10,000 Ultra Tokens, all you have to do is write down in the chat, Grimes, because this is Rick Grimes. Special character. I love how they change the name of every character. If they do a second character, it's always got a slightly different name. But Rick Grimes is the character. If you want your chance to win, like I said, write in the comments down below, not in the live chat. Make it part of a sentence so that YouTube does not spam your comment. Best of luck if you enter. Now back to the video. Now Rick, of course, has some mythic abilities. These are going to be his passive skills. He is going to have cunning because he is a support character, where he's 30% less likely to proc weapon effects from walkers or from enemies. This is only going to happen, generally speaking, when he gets attacked. And this is because he deals damage on his rush and his signature move. The next one is called Shocking Result. When an enemy is revived, 100% chance a random enemy gets normalized for 2 turns. This is actually pretty decent. And there's a lot of revived characters out there. You know, characters that just revive at the beginning of a turn on signature moves, on defend action with the new Lee as well. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what Rick Grimes can bring to the table when it comes to normalize. The next one is called Lessons Learned. When an enemy has camouflage removed, 100% chance one other teammate recovers from all penalties and gets camouflage and focus for 2 turns. This is actually pretty big, and he'll get this as off of turn 1 on his signature move. This is nice indeed, and it's going to work very, very well against Hina teams, because I've seen Hina teams with characters like Rosie in them, and Rosie obviously stuns off of turn 1, whereas now Rick can potentially full cleanse those characters in those situations. Now obviously there are downsides to them getting focused, but you can obviously deal with that. The next one is called Uncovered and Stymied. At the start of each turn, 100% chance a random enemy gets camouflage removed and a random enemy gets bonus HP block for 1 turn, +1 duration for each fast trait teammate. So he's going to be able to fully cleanse someone just from the start of the fight, and he's also going to be able to cleanse somebody with his signature move, which is obviously nice because he removes camouflage from enemies. Definitely this character set up to take on Hina teams. But what I want to know at that last passive is, can Rick potentially cleanse stun from himself by removing camouflage from an enemy if he's the one who gets stunned? Let's test that part out. Okay, so we are going to start the fight, and as you can see, we have got Rick getting stunned, impaired, and dazed, and all the good stuff that Dario does. He can't self-cleanse. He only can give these buffs if he removes camouflage to a teammate, and as you can see, War Veteran Richard has got those buffs. I don't even think anything was cleansed off of Richard. He just received camouflage and focus because of the removal of a camouflage. Now, it isn't based on Rick removing camouflage. I think you have other characters that do it, it should also give the buffs in that case. So as you can see in this case, we did have one character get cleansed, which is Job, but the other character, which is Richard, is still controlled because of Dario's control. The cleanse came in because of the stun from Rosie. However, I have got a ransack weapon, and I'm going to steal this camouflage with a ransack weapon, and we'll see if War Veteran Richard gets cleansed when I do this. He does not get cleansed. This is worth noting, that if you steal camouflage away, it doesn't cleanse any characters in that case. At grade 1, we can see the upgrade comes in where Shocking Result 1 comes in, where it's a 50% chance a random enemy gets normalized for 2 turns. At grade 2, the first half of Cunning comes in, where it's 15% less likely to trigger weapon effects and walker effects. And at grade 3, Shocking Result 2 comes in, when an enemy is revived, 100% chance a random enemy gets normalized for 2 turns. So you can get the normalized fully maxed out at a very low grade. There's potential low entry point for Rick in terms of usability, which is actually pretty decent. Then you can see grade 4s on 5. Grade 4, Lesson Learned Part 1 comes in, where an enemy has camouflage removed, 50% chance one teammate recovers from all penalties and gets camouflage and focus for 2 turns. And at grade 5, Uncovered and Stymied to Part 1 comes in, where it's a 50% chance a random enemy gets camouflage removed and a random enemy gets bonus HP block for 1 turn. +1 duration for each fast trait teammate. Then if we go on to the limit breaks, you can see that when attacking or being attacked, 15% less likely to trigger weapon effects and enemy walker effects. This is going to be 30% total. Limit Break 2, Lessons Learned 2 comes in. When an enemy has camouflage removed, 100% chance one other teammate recovers from all penalties and gets camouflaged and focused for 2 turns. And at Limit Break 3, Uncovered and Stymied 2 comes in. At the start of each turn, 100% chance a random enemy gets camouflage removed and a random enemy gets bonus HP block for 1 turn plus 1 duration for each fast trait teammate. So if you had like 5 fast trait teammates, they'd have bonus HP block for 5 turns, which is actually pretty decent. It's always going to be 2 turns, I assume, because Rick is fast himself. So it should always be 2 turns minimum. But if you put more fast characters in his team, which you're most likely going to do because he's a leader and he can obviously have fast characters in his team, you can obviously put fast characters in there. And there are some pretty good fast characters out there. So that's going to be nice for bonus HP block. So yeah, not too bad. Definitely more support role when it comes to the passives. The normalize is very nice, and I like the entry point being very low. You only need to get the character to grade 3 really to get the normalize, but obviously I would recommend always getting a character to a minimum of grade 5 for usability. The limit breaks, it's up to you. It obviously upgrades the character with their rush, signature move, and their passives, and obviously stats. But grade 5 is just, generally speaking, a good minimum. Now, Rick does have a leader skill, and it is all fast and tough teammates get 45% attack. At the start of each wave, a random enemy gets normalized for 3 turns. So this is basically Headless Herschel 2.0, where I think he was also fast and alert, but this is fast and tough. So it's going to be slightly different, but it's going to be normalized for 3 turns. I think he's normalized for 2, I can't remember, on the leader skill. He's going to be bringing quite a lot of normalized to the table, Rick. So for someone without a specialist skill, it is actually nice to see. Generally speaking, leaders obviously need to be doing something particular that's going to be adding something that's nice because they've not got the specialist skill, and Rick is going to be adding quite a lot of guaranteed normalizes in certain situations off the leader skill for sure, but off of revives, that sort of thing as well. So yeah, like I say, normalize king to a certain extent, and he looks like he could be a pretty good leader for fast and tough. Maybe even someone like the Warrior Champions character Shiva, because she also does lots of normalize, so you could potentially have just loads of normalize on the defense team and no specialist skills just not working at all. Now, as mentioned in the intro of the video, he does not have an attached weapon. He does have a weapon in his art on the left-hand side. We'll have to wait and see how that comes to the game. It could be a league store, it could be a battle pass, it could be an event. Like I say, we'll have to wait and see. Rick's axe. Keep your eye out for it. So that's just a quick preview of Gold Mythic Rick Grimes, who is, like I said, going to be coming to the game as an Ultra Token Wheel character, and he looks like a pretty nice leader. I like support leaders a lot more than like pure damage leaders myself. I like them to be adding things to make the characters I've already got more powerful, and he's going to be able to do that and give them, you know, attack buffs. He's going to be able to do that and make so specialist skills don't work, so you can obviously focus certain specialists a bit easier. I think that Rick Grimes is looking actually pretty decent. The camouflage removal is maybe a little bit slow, but obviously if you team him up with other teammates that do camouflage removal, it'll be a lot quicker. You could potentially, I think, remove camouflage from an entire team off of turn 1 if you do team him up with Krista, although that is a little bit of a niche usage of Krista on an attack team, but there would be Guardian Shields everywhere. Loads of camouflage would get removed, but then there would also be focus a lot because you're removing camouflage from a lot of enemies. So if there is a human shield, you'll be able to bypass it with a lot of your characters. But do tell me what you think about Rick Grimes as an attack leader. Let me know in the comments down below. That is the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.